Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Dream Huge podcast, baby. Woo! Today we're talking some real estate. We love to share success stories from other huge dreamers, movers, shakers, influencers. Like I said, folks in the real estate business and more. And hopefully, these stories will help to motivate and inspire you to dream huge. And today we are joined by our hosts. JP for three, top producing agent 2023 at Dream Huge Realty, John Pavlansky. What is up, JP?
What is going on, baby? I am ready to talk some real estate. I'm ready to talk some OHIO, cash flow, HIO today. We got a great guest. We're going to be talking some real estate. Pete, how are you doing, my man?
Excellent. Cash flow Ohio. We've got that trademarked, by the way. We're going to have that on t-shirts and everything. But man, it's a beautiful day here in Mansfield. I'm doing excellent and outstanding. We've got Biggie, the three-time champ at Dream Huge Realty. What is going on, Biggie?
You're muted.
We lost Biggie's audio.
Oh, we're good.
He's good. He's back.
I was on mute. Anyways,
All right.
just enjoying the day. Sunny Mansfield.
Excellent, man. All right, well, good. Now let me get to our very special guest, John Casmon. He is a real estate entrepreneur specializing in multifamily and commercial and much more. So, John, let's get right into it. How are you today, sir? And tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Well, listen, guys, it's late in the afternoon, and normally I get a little tired at this point, but y'all are bringing the heat. I'm fired up, so I'm ready to go. Biggie, I don't know what's going on over there with your audio and stuff, but we're gonna have to bring some real energy today. But listen, just to give everybody a little background, my name is John Casmon. I am based in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I am born and raised in Cleveland. So I'm a Midwest kid, particularly here in Ohio. I invest in large-scale apartments, and the big thing is we do like to dream big. We partner with everyday professionals to get cash flow, passive income, and the upside appreciation that you can find in real estate investing. I like to tell people we help you invest in real estate and get all the perks of being an apartment owner without any of the headaches that come from being a landlord.
Love it.
That is it. That is it in a nutshell. And it helping people out, right, John? So many people are interested and attracted to this idea of investing in real estate. And it sounds amazing until you start getting the midnight phone calls, or until you have to deal with an eviction, or until you have a unit that's absolutely trashed, right? So you can help partner with folks and bring them into real estate investing by offering that. How does that initial conversation look?
Well, the first thing is really just understanding somebody's goals. If somebody loves real estate, they're passionate, they want to be a landlord, they want to do all that, they should not work with me or any group like mine. You should do it. Take it on. Learn the business, perfect your skills, and become a landlord or property manager. But a lot of times when we're talking to people, they may say, yeah, I invested in real estate or I had a rental property, didn't really like it. And at that point, it's like, okay, well, at some point you realize real estate could help you, but you didn't like being a landlord or you didn't like certain aspects of it. So we try to unpack that and understand, okay, well, is it that you didn't like being a landlord or is that you just didn't like the real estate? Because typically it's not the real estate. It's what you just said. It's the late night phone calls. It's the showings. It's the, oh man, I got to go do this for a tenant, right? That's the part people don't really like. And that's where it's ideal to work with a group like ours because we can handle all those things. And the key is scale. Okay. When you have one unit, you're not making enough money to hire other people to run it. We have scale. Our properties are larger scale. We have an on-site property manager. That person is doing the day-to-day. My company's job is to oversee the management. So we do what we call asset management. We're taking a look at the overall business and making sure that we're putting the right pieces in place to be profitable. Our investors or our LP, our limited partners, they don't have to deal with any of that. All they have to do is their work up front. They need to take a look at me, my group, my team, the deal, and decide whether or not they want to partner with us. Once they make that decision, they get what's called mailbox money, right? Every month or every quarter, depending on how the deal is structured, they're going to get a distribution. If there's a change to that, we'll communicate it. But generally speaking, they're getting true passive income while our team is doing a lot of the legwork.
All right, a couple things there. First of all, when you're assembling these deals, and you had mentioned limited partners, so this is what's a tremendous thing about this strategy is when you assemble deals like this and you bring in those limited partners and you find the deal and you run it as the general partner, you can actually get into these deals for little to nothing down. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. If you're the general partner, so if you think about this business, let's strip out some of the terms. I want to make sure this is simple for everybody, right? Ultimately, this comes down to two sides of the business. There's an active team. So these are the people who are finding the deal, managing the deal, getting under contract, either investing or raising the money, but they're the ones doing the work. Okay. That's your active team or general partnership. You can just be an investor, right? So that's your passive team or your LP. You're not doing the work, but you're going to decide whether or not you want to invest. Just like in the stock market, right? You might go out there and decide you want to buy Apple shares. You don't have to show up at Apple's HQ and ask them when the iPhone 22 is coming out, right? You don't do any of that. You invest your money. You trust that they know what they're doing, right? So you read and you decide which companies you're going to invest in, and then you sit back and collect the funds. So it's the same thing here. Now, if you want to be an investor or an operator, and let's say you don't have the cash, you could potentially go that route where now you're the general partner and you're pulling this team together. That is absolutely possible. And lots of people go out and raise money for their deals. Now, you can do it as a JV, where maybe you have one investor who puts up all the cash. But typically, if you have multiple investors and they are not going to be a part of the active decision-making process, then what you're really doing is selling what they call a security. And instead of having it as a JV, you're going to do it as a syndication because you want these people to truly be passive. You don't want the person who has no idea what they're doing in real estate to be dictating what you're going to do in regards to the business plan.
Yes, yes. And that general partner team, that active team, what people don't understand is they're the ones finding the deals. And the deals, especially in this market, few and far between. The money, the investors, plentiful. There is more money and more investors than you will ever know what to do with. It's the deals which are rare. So that is why the deal finder, the general partner, is rewarded with equity. Not only that, but like you said, you are active in the deal. You and your team are the ones working day to day. So you should be paid for that.
Spot on, right? And that's the thing is that ultimately the process only works if everything works together, meaning you have to have that person who's finding the deal or your acquisitions team. You have to have that operator, right? Or that person who's really managing the asset, the person who can go out there and hire the right property management company, the person that can identify the right contractors, who can oversee the renovation budget, who can oversee the implementation of the business plan. That's that asset manager or that operator. And then you may have other folks who are helping to raise capital or others overseeing other aspects of the deal, but you have to have all that from the general partnership side. Otherwise, the deal may fail. So you want to have the right team in place. And one great question I always ask people to ask is, hey, who's the team? What's their experience? What's the track record? Why should you believe in them? And even if you're starting out and you want to do this yourself, you should look at, how do I assemble the right team? I do not believe in one man shows, right? If you're going to go out there and work with other investors, you need to build a team around you. You cannot be the person who finds the deal. You're raising all the capital. You're going to self-manage the asset. You're going to underwrite everything yourself. You're going to do all the work yourself. No, nobody. What? No. Like, I want to see a team, right? Like, I'm not going to invest in one person. I want to invest in a team. So if you don't have a long track record or you want to do your first deal, one great insight is you want to assemble a team of folks who have that track record, right? Who's your property management company? Who's the contractor you're partnering with? Do you have mentors, advisors, other partners? I want to see that you've partnered with people and you're working with people who can lift you up and overcome the lack of experience you have based on their own level of experience.
Love it.
Assemble that team. Assemble that team. All
And
right.
that's
And go ahead, JP. Sorry.
and that's a common theme. I mean, how many investors did we have come on and say the number one thing that helped me was partners, was a team, was people around me, it's not doing everything myself. And we hear it every investor we have on. I mean, it's a common theme, the partnerships. So Pete, go ahead. I just wanted to throw that in because
No, that's it. It's who, not how, right, Biggie?
Absolutely. I had to jump in here. Everything you've been saying, it's like this whole episode is meant to be because 8 hours ago, I was texting Mark about this very thing. This very thing, it's another way to make money as an agent, as a person, is to go and be the acquisitions guy and be the manager for your investors. And essentially, you get to the point where your investors are passive and they're not even partners, and they're just the money guys. And next thing you know, you're syndicating and doing funds, and that's all you got to do is go find the deals, and the money's already there. Yes.
John, what was your first step into this? How did you get into this strategy?
Man, this was a slow journey for me. So to give you a little context, if you follow me on this little journey, right, and if you think back to 2007, 2008, I was in Detroit, Michigan, working for General Motors. And I was there watching our company start to shift and eventually realized we were heading into bankruptcy. So I realized I needed a plan B. I had spent my time up to that point early in my corporate career, getting it going, started to get a little traction, my first real corporate job. And this company is headed into bankruptcy. I'm like, man, no one's ever going to hire me, right? I'm thinking that my resume probably reads like someone who worked at Enron. So I'm really self-conscious. I'm updating the resume and I'm looking for deals and opportunities. And there was a day we were going to have a big round of layoffs. The guy who sat kind of diagonal from me, he ended up getting let go. And I didn't find out until I came into the office. I came in as late as I could that day, just in case. They told me I was good, but you just never know, right? So I came in like as late as I've ever come that day. I had a red light blinking on my phone. I pick up, check the voice. My heart just skipped a beat. I'm like anticipating what this message is. And it was him. And he was telling me that, not just me, he sent this message to everyone on the floor. He was there for 22 years. He got let go that day. You had to be 25 years to reach your pension and all that kind of stuff, right? So he got let go after 22 years. He was diabetic. He had no idea he was going to pay for his medication, his insulin. And he was emotional. He was highly emotional and volatile, like emotional, right? Which, again, understandably so. And the two things that ran through my head were, one, I feel really bad for this dude. Like, he put his life into this company. He was what we call a lifer, and he just wasn't rewarded for that. The second thing I felt was this sense that I never wanted to be in that situation. So I started to think about my plan B. I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad a couple years earlier. So I started thinking about that a lot. And I realized, I want to get in real estate. I don't know how, but I want to get in real estate. So I started to try to figure out how to get into real estate. It took a couple of years before I went from that to making my first purchase. But once I made that first purchase, I continued to surround myself with other investors. And that first purchase was a duplex that I house hacked once I moved to Chicago. And that was really important because I was renting. This gave me a chance to live somewhere and let somebody else pay the mortgage, basically. And it also gave me a chance to get my feet wet, build a little bit of confidence, test out this theory, but also to see where we were in the market cycle. Because coming out of that recession, there was, it was a little bit of a dance of, hey, is the worst over? Are things headed in the right direction? I feel like they are, but I don't know for sure. What happens if I lose this job? So when I made that first investment, I felt pretty good because the way I looked at it was my alternative is renting. So even if this sucks, right, I'm paying $1,500 in rent. That's $18,000 a year. If I can pay less than that, I'm going to call it a win, right? I ended up creating about $100,000 worth of equity on that first property within probably like 18 to 24 months. Not in my wildest dreams would I have expected things to go that well. And when that happened, I was hooked. I said, oh, I made more than I make in a year in my day job living at this property and just managing it, basically, right? So I'm like, how do I do more of that? So at that moment, my whole mindset shifted to, I need to do more of this. How do I do more of this? And I kind of became addicted. I went to every event I could find in the Chicago area. I networked with people. I'm not even a networker. I networked my butt off talking to people. I read books. I read articles. I would have alerts set on. I would start listening to podcasts. I did everything to just devour anything about real estate investing, specifically about multifamily investing. So by the time like these opportunities came, I wasn't really thinking about it that way. I was just trying to soak up the information. But then I started to learn how to scale and how to grow and how to put deals together and all that kind of stuff over time.
Love it.
Amazing. Woo!
You just
Woo!
Yes.
let's go.
So the light bulb went off after that first duplex and said, man, if I could do this, and go huge with this, and if I could go do this and be obsessed about this, and I could really scale this and take it to the next level. Amazing stuff. All right.
And-
So getting back to go ahead, JP.
I was saying, what do we tell everybody? I have all these. So John, just for some instance, I'm 23 years old, and I have these young people that ask me all the time, how do I get into real estate? How do I start investing? What do I do? I say, buy a duplex, live in it, rent the other side out. Buy a duplex, house hack it, and then go to your next property. And it's the best way to start. And you just proved it. With that being said, Pete, I'm sorry, I'll cut you off on that question. With that being said, how long have you been in it? I know you kind of gave some years and everything, but how long have you been in the industry and in the game? And where are you at right now in terms of your unit count?
Yeah, I've been investing for 12 years. We have invested over $125 million worth of apartments. I think we're at or close to 2,000 units. We've sold some of that, but total lifetime, that's what we've invested in. And JP, I agree. I think I give people the same advice, right? The easiest strategy to me to get started is house hack, buy a 2 to 4 unit property, live in one unit, rent out the others. Now, while I think it's the easiest and one I recommend the most, obviously it won't work for everyone. I think the key here is you have to do a little bit of soul searching and be honest with yourself. And the beautiful thing about real estate investing is I don't care what your situation is, there is a strategy for you to make money in real estate. I don't care if you have no money. I don't care if you are a multimillionaire. I don't care if you have zero free time. I don't care if you have all the free time in the world. You just have to take a second and take a look at yourself. Be honest. What are your skills? What are your strengths? What do you like to do? What do you not like to do? And if you can take inventory, you can find a strategy that works. Because some people will say to you, JP, right? Well, I don't want to be a landlord, or I don't want to have, my tenants in the same building with me. I get it, right? For me, I was young, newly married, no kids, and I was already renting. I was renting an apartment. So I looked at it as, okay, instead of renting the apartment, I'm still going to live in an apartment. I'm just going to own the building, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't change for me. I actually went from a 2-bedroom apartment to a 3-bedroom apartment that I owned, right? That was the only difference for me, and someone else was paying me rent. Now, you may not be in that situation. Maybe you already have your house and you don't want to move your family or whatever the case is. That's fine. Take inventory of what you can do, what you like, what you don't like, how much money you have. Now, if you have no money and you don't want to work, then no, of course this isn't going to work for you, right? There's an ebb and flow to it, but you've got to figure out, where do you have the ability to invest, whether it's time or energy or money. What do you like? What do you not like? And then go from there. And I think there's a strategy for every investor.
Agreed. Love it, man.
What is the strategy for the investor who has no money?
First thing is, again, you can be an agent, right? So you can get your license, you can be an agent, you can start building up that capital. Again, if you are someone who is knowledgeable, very similar to being an agent, it's kind of like a wholesaler. So obviously you're not licensed, but the point is you're going out there and you're finding deals. You're out there and you're bird dogging it or whatever you want to call it, right? But the bottom line is, if you don't have money, you're going to have to use your time. And that time is best spent finding deals, either as an agent, as a wholesaler, going down to the auction, working with another investor, finding out what their deal criteria is, and then going to seek out those properties for them. So that's one. Maybe you're a great connector. Maybe you've got a great relationship. So you may not have money yourself, but maybe you have great relationships. Well, but you can connect people with money to deals. That could be another way to get started or to get some traction, right? We're always raising money for our deals. So we're always looking to connect with people who are looking to get the same benefits of real estate investing. We're talking about cash flow, appreciation, diversification, tax benefits. For folks who want that, we're always looking to connect with them. If you know people who fit that bill and you're willing to make those connections, there's a way for you to get to get in the game, right? Now, there's some legalities around that, so you got to make sure everything is up and up. But on the same note, there's always value in those skills. So those are two things I would tell you: is one, either wholesaling, being an agent, but then also being somebody who could bring capital to a deal.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. From the investor side, when you're shifting gears a little bit here, when you're looking to work with investors, are they more interested in percentage return, cash flow, tax benefits, or do they want equity? What do you see the most of?
Yeah, they like a little bit of everything, and every investor is different. I actually just was creating a piece of content today, and I wrote something for our mastermind group, and I said that there are really four things that an investor is going to be looking for. So when you're talking to them, you want to identify what's most important for them, right? So one is cash flow, and when I say cash flow specifically, I mean they are looking to supplement their income. Right? This might be a retiree. This could be somebody who makes decent money, but man, they really want to make a little bit more. So they're looking for additional cash flow. The second person is looking for tax benefits, right? They make good money to great money, but they're paying too much in taxes. So how can they minimize or mitigate some of that tax liability? The third is going to be someone who makes good money, but they want diversification, right? All their money, all their wealth is tied up into the stock market or into their 401k. So how can they redeploy their portfolio so they have a better balance and have maybe some money put into real estate? And that last person has good money, maybe has a little bit of diversification. They're playing the long game. They're looking really about wealth generations. They're trying to figure out, how do I create a portfolio that 10, 15, 20 years from now, even 5 years from now, allows me more flexibility with my time. Maybe I want to retire early. Maybe I want to take more vacations. Maybe I just want to have kind of, a strategy put in place for my family, right? So I'm having this plan in place. I want to give some money to my kids. I want to give some properties or do that, right? So this is what they're going to do when it comes to estate planning. Maybe that's what they're looking for. So figure out what are the important things for that individual, and then you're going to tailor your conversation that way. So they're interested in all of them, but I think it's really important for you to understand them, right? Because I could tell you, hey, the most important thing is appreciation, but if you're someone who's like, dude, I'm retiring next year, here's what I'm going to get in distribution, like my income's going to drop 50%. I don't want to change my lifestyle. That's what that person's concerned with. They don't care about the 10 years down the road thing, right? Or if I'm talking to a guy who's in his 80s, he's like, dude, I ain't gonna be here. Like, I just need a little bit of extra money, so I can do X, Y, Z. So it's really important to listen to the people you're talking to and understand what they're shooting for. And then you got to be honest too. If what you're doing or your deals are not going to help them, be honest with that. Or, I don't want to mislead anybody. There might be another strategy. This is what we just talked about, right? There might be another strategy that's better for that individual. And if there is, I may have a conversation and say, well, hey, have you considered this? And then maybe something new comes up. They say, I have, but I don't like X, or I don't really want to do this. I'm like, okay, great. So, but as long as we're clear on how this helps them reach whatever their goal is, that's the most important thing. I wouldn't get too caught up on, one benefit or preaching cash flow over everything, or, all of that. Understand who you're talking to and what's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Okay, guys. I think that covers a lot of great stuff. Are we ready to jump into the huge four?
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch on, John, before we get into the huge four and the rapid fire?
If I could just piggyback on that last question, I think there is a question I wish investors ask more. And if you are looking to invest in a deal or specifically with another person, one question I always like to ask is, tell me about a deal that didn't work out, right? I want to hear that for the person. And then if it's about a deal, right, I want to ask, how could this deal fail? And the reason I want to ask these questions are twofold. When I ask, tell me about a deal that didn't pan out or didn't go to according to plan, I'm a little less concerned about the specifics of whatever that deal was. What I'm listening for are cues that indicate what kind of leader this person is. Is this somebody who blames everyone else? Is this someone who does not take accountability? Is this someone who learns from their mistakes? Is this someone who's going to roll up their sleeves and just figure it out no matter what? I'm trying to get a sense of, hey, man, who's really vouching for me here? Because once I invest and put my money, it's in their hands, and I got to trust this individual. Are they a trustworthy person? And I don't mean just like, will they steal? I'm hoping they won't steal, but I'm also hoping that this person is going to, at every step along the way, be an advocate for me, my investment, and the deal, right? So that's something I'm listening for. And I will tell you, if I knew that the very first time I gave someone all the decision making power when I invested, I'd probably have another $100,000 in my account plus more, right? I didn't ask the question, and there were signs that the answer would have been different, and I didn't pay attention to it. The second part of that question, when I say how could this deal fail, I think that's really important because we want to be able to identify risk. If you are that operator, or if you're a passive investor asking this to an operator, I want to know that this person has truly identified potential risk. Every deal has risk. And if they say nothing or it can't or don't worry about it, I'm out, like easy out. Like I'm not even thinking about investing with you. There should be some real tangible threats to the success of the deal. What I want to hear after that is this person has thought about them. Here's how we're mitigating against those threats, and here's our plan in case those threats start to come to realization, right? And we need to make a plan B or we need to pivot. Here's what we're going to do. I want to see that someone has really thought through this deal, this opportunity, and that they have a bit of a command of the opportunity. No one could have predicted COVID or interest rates shooting crazy like they did, right? So that's just life, though. There's always going to be something that we can't control. You want to make sure you're recognizing who are you betting on? Is this the person who can pivot and adjust? Are you yourself as an investor? If you look at a deal and you're in love with it, you got to start looking for the flaws, right? If you think everything is rosy, you may be completely blindsided. So I want you to at least to recognize, okay, hey, you know what? Man, if that school moves though, we're going to be in trouble. Or, hey, if this company pulls out, or hey, if this happens, you want to at least recognize that. So if it does start to happen, you can start having a plan B in place.
Two super important questions to ask right there.
Fireworks.
The
Fireworks
rest
for
of this,
that
we
one,
got
baby.
to figure that out. We got nothing here.
Oh man, great stuff, John. All right. Oh yeah, baby. Are you ready for the huge four? John, Casmon, what's the one thing you wish you would have known when you began your career? And you kind of touched on this, but maybe something on top of that.
Yeah, I think one thing I would have known or wish I would have known, and I knew this, but I don't think I really internalized it to the level that was necessary. Investing and raising capital and working with other investors, it is not about you. And I guess in this case, it's not about me, right? It's about them. And if I would have really taken that to heart, right? I can say the words, but if I would have taken that to heart, we would have had more success sooner because I would have focused more on the people we were trying to help. And I think that's really, really important when you get in this business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next one on the huge four, John. What was your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
That flip project, partner with this guy on some flips. I ended up losing a ton of money on it. The biggest lesson for me was we got to take accountability. There's a great quote that says, it may not be my fault, but I'm still responsible. Right. And it wasn't my fault, quote unquote, but at the end of the day, I'm responsible, right? It was my investment. It's my team. It's my name. It's my money. So that's the mentality we got to have is, if I'm going to be involved in something, I want to make sure I can do everything possible for it to be successful.
Extreme accountability. Big E. Unmute. You're muted, Biggie. We'll cut this out, John. Don't worry.
So, number 3. Anyways, extreme ownership. Yeah. What are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
Man, so many resources. I would say, I think the first one and the biggest one is attending RIA or other real estate related events, because I had to surround myself with people who are playing the game at this level for me to see myself amongst that group. And once I started to do that, everything else became real. When people around you are doing deals, you go meet them every month and they're telling you what the deals they've done. You want to get in on that too, right? And it just makes you feel confident. And it's very easy to feel crazy, right? When you're talking to your friends and family, if they don't invest in real estate or they don't think about this stuff, right?
Yep.
you could sound like a lunatic, and they're scared. Oh, don't lose your money, John. Oh,
Yeah.
your cousin, they did this deal and they lost the house. They come from the fears based on their relationships or their experiences. So early on, I really had to protect my energy and passion by only sharing this with people who would get it, which is going to these RIA events every single month and then talking to them. I didn't talk to other people about real estate who didn't get real estate. So that was absolutely critical for me to build the confidence necessary to take that first step.
Absolutely. The
Love it.
environment, creating new habits, and the environment is key. They're being around like-minded individuals, being around your family who's not. Like you said, they're going to think you crazy. Like my mom, for example, she couldn't take one little problem; it would devastate her, and she just couldn't do it. She would quit immediately. She's just not for it. I can't be around my mom if I'm trying to be a real estate investor. Sorry, mom.
It's all right. We still love you, Mama.
And that's how I feel around these guys, man. Like I get so inspired and so like I driven. Like I hear Biggie Pete, one of these guys said, dude, we just pull this deal down for this and we're gonna do this with it and we're gonna make this money. And I'm like, God, I want to do it. It makes me want to get into it even more, man. It's inspiring. So I attest to that for sure.
Good stuff. Okay, what are 2 books that have inspired your success, John?
Man, there are lots of great books. I will tell you for me, so the question you asked were what 2 books inspired my success, right? I'll make sure I'm reading that right or hearing
Yes,
that
sir.
right. Okay. So they're gonna be a little different. I'm looking at my bookshelf here, so sorry if I sound a
Yeah.
little crazy. One book is it's up there. Y'all can edit this, right?
Go ahead,
Yes.
grab it. Yeah.
So, all right, one of the 2 books is this book called How to Sell Yourself by Girard. I read this when I was an intern during my internship. Okay, I was in an 8-week internship in Detroit, and I was at an agency. It was 8 interns. Only 2 of us were going to be offered jobs, and I was the last of the 8 interns selected for the internship. And I know this because the day they were picking interns, I didn't get a call. I didn't get a call the next day. I didn't get a call over the weekend. I didn't get a call Monday, Tuesday. I got a call Wednesday after about 4 people declined. So I already knew I was like the 5th or 6th choice at this point, and I was kind of peed off about it. But this book is from a guy named Joe Girard. He's the world's greatest salesman. And the biggest takeaway for me in this book, it's called How to Sell Yourself. And the whole concept is we don't take no for an answer, right? You're selling yourself. You're not. So he was a car salesman, but he didn't sell cars. He sold himself. And that was the mindset I took early on in my internship because I went to a state school. I went to Wright State University, right? Not necessarily known for, the prestigious alum that it brings into the workforce. So I felt like I was up against all these other kids from, high level schools, well-known schools and different programs. My school didn't really have an advertising program. So I really felt like there was a huge chip on my shoulder, not to mention that I'm the only Black kid in this program, right? So I'm like, I already know the perception some are going to have. So I felt it was absolutely necessary for me to come in and kick ass. And that was the mindset I had. And I read this book and, there's a story in here where he talks about a guy on the Navy yards or the shipyards, and he shows up every day, looking for a job. And every day they tell him, hey, it's a bunch of guys, they tell him every day there's no jobs. After about a week or 2, most guys stop coming back. This dude showed up for like 2 months. So finally, the guy says, hey, guys, there's no jobs. You, come here. And they hired this guy, right? Because he's so dedicated. And it was more of a mindset thing. I know I'm rambling, man, but this book is probably like the first book I've ever read on like how to position yourself and how to change your thoughts, your processes, your mindset, and all those things. And it was just very powerful. And I remember I read this book in maybe a week. And I think outside of school, I had never read a book that fast before in my life. But I was inspired, and I killed that internship, just killed it, like very seriously crushed that thing. It killed it to the point where they didn't even formally offer me a job. They just told me, if you want to work here, there's a door, there's a desk. You tell us what you want to do. And I really credit this book. So that was one. I know you asked for two. That was one. Another one I'll give you is Atomic Habits. I love that book. Every book I've read on just self-development has always felt like, ooh, this is great stuff for me to start a process. Atomic Habits is the one book you can start immediately. This is not about being a better person in 3 months. This is about right now. You want to be fit. You can change your habits at this very moment to make that transition. So I thought that book was very powerful from that standpoint.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
Excellent.
it,
Two great ones right there.
I just finished Atomic Habits maybe a few weeks ago, and you're absolutely right. I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning now. Part of it's because of who I want to be, but that book really catapulted me. Taking the bits of the little teachings and the little mental concepts and really just applying it. And yeah, I'm so glad I read that book.
Biggie, you were in the Navy. Was that story about you? Was that when you were in the Navy? You got that job?
That was for like a contractor on the street trying to get a job at the shipyard. No,
right.
I was a slave, aka sailor.
And now you are a free man selling real estate, doing real estate where success is unlimited. The more people you help, the greater success you will have in this business. Right. That's why we love it and keep showing up. All right. So we're going to learn a little bit more about John Casmon, the man with the rapid fire round. We're going to have a little bit of fun here, John, at the end. Okay, buddy?
I love it, man.
Right off the top of the head, first thing that comes to your mind. What is your spirit animal?
Falcon.
Falcon. Love it.
Bird of prey.
First thing came to mind.
Pete didn't give the correct introduction to the rapid fire round. The rapid fire round. Number 2. John, what's your favorite movie, man?
Favorite movie is, so favorite does not mean best, it just means favorite. So my favorite movie, I do not think it's the best movie, but my favorite is The Last Dragon. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
Got it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, number 3, what's your favorite food?
Ooh, favorite food. My grandmother used to make barbecue beef short ribs, and she passed away 22 years ago, and I think I've had them once since she passed, and every time I think about it, I'm like, one day, I did ask her how to make them once, and she told me, and I don't think I ever tried, but one day I'm going to try to remake them and see if I can make them like she did.
Love it.
What do you do in your spare time?
So I've got 2 young boys. So most of my spare time really just goes to them, coaching their athletic endeavors and just being a dad, which I enjoy. I really do enjoy it. When I'm not doing dad stuff or coaching the kids, I do like golf. I am terrible, but I'm okay with that. What I found is, we all need things to humble us and to give us the guidance of feedback so that we know we can continue to work and get better. And, you're never going to be great, or at least I'm never going to be great, but I can always make improvement. I think that's really important for us. I love working out too. So, I work out pretty much every day. So that's another one.
Got it. Love it. And like I said, man, all of us are right in that same boat when it comes to swinging some iron. You know what I mean? So we're all in that same boat. If you could have dinner with anybody, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
That is a phenomenal question. I started by talking about my grandmother on the food question, so I guess I'm going to stick with her. She's someone who was just massively important to me in my upbringing as a child. She instilled me with a ton of confidence, and just was the sweetest lady, not just to me, but to everyone. She was just a sweet, sweet lady. And I would love to sit with her. It's been 20 years, and I would love to show her, where I'm at and her grandchildren or great-grandchildren. And just, I would, if I could trade anything, I would do that for a dinner with her.
Love it.
Shout out to Grandmama. What's Grandmama's name?
Oh, Claudia.
Claudia.
Old
Very
school,
good.
old school grandma names, right? Claudia.
Yeah. Claudia's looking down, smiling, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, what or is this me or is this you, Biggie?
This is me.
Yep.
I'm gonna have a little more fun. What's your go-to karaoke song?
So I can't quite hit the notes, which again is part of karaoke, but I think I'm working on the pitch. I'm getting a little closer, right? But what's the song? It's George Michael's what is the song?
Well, I wish it would be nice.
No.
Oh.
And I'm
Have to
never
give us
gonna
a piece.
dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm. Careless Whispers. There it is. I don't know why I was struggling. Careless
Good.
Whispers.
Hey, we got a little
Yeah.
singing from
little
it. We
bit,
got a little singing from Casmon. Hey,
Yeah, that
all right,
was
now,
terrible, but yes, Careless Whispers.
excellent. Not bad, not bad. But while we're talking music, I got to touch on this. I heard around the way that you and 50 Cent are actually boys.
I wouldn't call us boys, but yes. I used so as a part of my time at GM, it's funny, you meet a lot of people who leave corporate America and get into real estate or something else, and they don't like their jobs. I loved my job. I was doing cool, fun stuff. I used to joke with my wife. She was in a not an account. She was an auditor. And I'm like, what's a good day for you? Just out of curiosity. Like, it's a good day that the numbers add up. And there was like, what does that look like? I say, for me, a good day is hanging out on a video shoot with 50 Cent, make sure our car looks good, or going to the game day set, hanging out with Lee Corso and, and all these guys, and just having a blast, right? We're shooting content and making sure our vehicles and our stuff's integrated. But yeah, man, we did a custom Pontiac G8 for 50 Cent. Beautiful car, got on cover of different magazines, and I was able to go to the set of one of his shoots. And the car's in there, so if you go to, there's a video called Steel Wheel with Akon. But I'm not on camera, but I'm hanging out there by craft services, which, by the way, this might have been one of the worst craft services I've ever been to. I've been on a lot of sets, and that's just like the food, the snacks that they have for everyone. But he was a very healthy eater, extremely healthy eater. So like most of the stuff was like, vegan, and just, it was like, and back then I was like 25 maybe. So I was like, yeah, where the chips there? I was looking for other stuff. So, but it was a fun time, great experience. And I'm happy to have all of that in the past. So.
Love it. Great stuff. Amazing stories. You never know who you're going to meet.
No doubt. No doubt.
Okay. What is something you fear?
I fear, I don't fear anything like heights or anything like that. I think the biggest thing I fear is not reaching my potential. And, again, I think that's one of those like horizon things where you're never quite gonna reach it, right? There's always more you can do. But I also feel that, one of my main goals is to be a leader for my family, be an inspiration for the clients that I have, my investors. Not so much inspiration for them. I just got to take care of their money, but do right by my investors, and really just be a guiding light for my children, and then the other kids that I'm around through coaching. So just trying to make sure I maximize and live up to those expectations the best I can, and falling short of that is something I do fear.
That's a mentality of a high achiever right there. Great stuff.
Absolutely.
Last
Absolutely.
one.
And why you said that, I heard the coaching. What do you coach? I can feel. I don't know if you heard him say JP for three. I can feel. John, you used to hoop back in the day. I can tell, man. I can tell you used to hoop.
Oh, I was not a good hooper. I'm a wrestler, man. So
okay.
Wrestler. Wrestling. I did wrestling and taekwondo. Those were my two go-to. So for whatever reason, I like combat sports. And then I coached football, wrestling. I did coach basketball for my oldest son, and doing a little flag football right now. And they're both into soccer, but I've never like. I know less about soccer than they do. So I'm like, guys, I'm here to. I'll be a dad in the crowd for this one, but I'm not coaching you here.
I love it. Do you still dive into the MMA world at all?
So I haven't, man. I've had, when you get older, you start having little ailments, and this shoulder here is muscle torn and knee. But I will tell you, my oldest got into Taekwondo, and because my youngest wrestles, there's a place where one of the guys actually um, was in MMA, and he fought Tito Ortiz.
Mhm.
So it's not too far, but that's where he does Taekwondo. So I was actually looking to sign up for jiu-jitsu or something else up there with him. So my body, I tore my shoulder about maybe a year ago, and it just maybe about a year and a half ago, but it's over the last 3 to 4 months, it's finally starting to heal and settle. And so I think I'm gonna give it another couple months, but the plan is maybe by the end of the year, I would like to get into something more physical and combative.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Awesome. Last question. We'll end it off on this. What is your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment. It's easy to say my kids, right? And I think that's a fair comment for everyone. But there are a lot of people who have kids. I don't know if that's it. So I would say, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, let's see what they do before I call them my greatest accomplishment, right? I don't know how good I've done yet. If they turn out great, then yes, give me the credit, right? My kids, oh, you had a great dad, clearly. If not, let's move on to something else. I would say this. I think my greatest accomplishment is starting off in a position where I had a lot of challenges and with minimal support, direct support, being able to figure out how to make it in this world. And what I mean by that is, my family didn't have a whole lot of money coming up. My parents divorced when I was 5 years old. My dad's a part of my life and he's been great. So talk to him all the time. And he's a great grandfather. He's a phenomenal grandfather. But I'm the first one to go to college. No one in my family helped me with that process. Like, no one knew what college was, how to, like, none of that, right? So figuring all that stuff out, I actually died when I was 10 years old. I had asthma, a really bad asthma attack, flatlined on the table, woke up. My mom's right there crying. I couldn't do a lot of things because I had asthma so severely that I had to be on a machine 3 times a day, take pills, and just I couldn't really be out of sight and care. So just all of those things together, and being able to navigate this world, I think is my greatest accomplishment from my perspective. I think ultimately that's not what I hope my legacy is, right? I hope my legacy is more about how I've been able to impact other people, other investors, my family, my children. I will say the thing that I am the most proud of from a professional standpoint is I've been able to help my friends and family invest. And it's not so much that I've helped them invest, but I've helped them unlock the control they have over their own financial future. Meaning, like, one of my friends, they invested in our very first syndication deal. They now have like a mining business, right? So they're mining crypto. They've got that. They've got a Airbnb, a 4 unit that they run. They've got another investment property. They've been building all this all based on the information they've learned from me, but also the confidence they were able to gain from our first investment. Another friend of mine, the Mansfield guy, I was just telling you about, y'all boy from Mansfield. He invested in my last 2 syndication deals, and now he just bought a short-term rental property out there on the in Michigan, near Lake Michigan. And again, a lot of that was through things that he's learned from me, the podcast and our relationship. So to me, that's the biggest thing I'm most proud of is I've been able to help the people I love and care most about learn how to invest in real estate to change their own family's financial future, as opposed to me just, stacking away chips on my own. And I think that's really important. It's very easy for any of us to just invest and make money on our own. But when you can look at the people around you and help teach them, educate them, share opportunities for them to change their own financial future, that's true empowerment. And that is something that we need to brag and push. And I know that's the reason you guys are doing this podcast. So I take my hats off to you. And we need more people doing this and sharing this information so that the people closest to us can get this information from a trusted source and recognize that it is possible for them as well.
Boom. That is a great accomplishment right there. Man, excellent stuff. John Casmon, thank you for joining us today. This has been amazing. How and where can folks contact you and follow you?
Definitely not on a karaoke stage. So, but no, go to casmoncapital.com/sample deal. You can get a sample deal package from an apartment deal. That's great if you want to be an active investor and do this yourself, or you're interested in being passive. It kind of gets into some terminology and allows your brain to start, flowing as far as, okay, what should I be looking for? And then we follow that up with a series of 7 questions you should ask anytime you're looking at an investment opportunity. So you can get that at casmoncapital.com/sample deal. And then I have a podcast as well called Multifamily Insights. So if you're still listening, I know you like podcasts. So check out Multifamily Insights wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yes. What
Amazing.
about do you have an Instagram?
I'm on IG as well. So Jay Casmon is my handle, which you know that because you did some research.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, Jay Casmon is my
I
handle.
follow you, but I mean for the viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, Jay Casm's my Instagram handle. I try not to give out too many things because you give 5 and then people they forget. So but yeah, Jay Casmon on Instagram. You can find me. I'm pretty widely available. You can find me.
Excellent. Thank you so much, John Casmon. Thank you. JP Biggie, John, any final thoughts?
My only final thought, man, is just thank you. Thank you for sharing the story, and thank you for inspiring, man. I mean, truly, like a lot of the things you said just hit home. Were truly an inspiration. I mean, your story is one of a kind, brother, and keep on pushing, man. Keep on making it happen. So I'm excited to connect with you further and see where it takes you from here.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you very much.
I'm just gonna say, I loved every minute of this episode. I think it's meant to be. So if you're watching, this could be a sign to get after it in your life, whether it be real estate investing or some other challenge you're going after. Because everything I've heard is great lessons to how to be a good leader, how to persevere, and just get after it and don't stop. Personally, I think this is motivating for me. So, I mean, I just love it. Took a page full of notes.
Great stuff. Thank you, JP. John Pavlansky, Justin Bigelow, John Casmon, myself, Pete Peterson. Thank you, everyone, for watching and or listening to the Dream Huge podcast. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, remember the rules. Work hard, never give up, and dream huge, baby. Let's see the guns, Johnny. Throw them up there for us. Yeah. Oh, it does work out. Look at them guns. All right. Thank y'all. Have a great day.